We got two people in here already. You guys beat me in here. Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Again, my name's Chris. I guess you guys probably know that. And hang on a second here. I got to get all set up so I can answer questions and things. And while I'm doing that, let me just kind of give the normal disclaimers that I give every week. This is the weekly live broadcast. I do this pretty much every week. And if you're first time here, this is, oh, sorry, I got to look around this phone to see what I'm doing here. If this is your first time here, then I don't have a topic necessarily planned out. All I do is answer the comments that come in. So this is pretty much just an Ask Me Anything session. I do it pretty much every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central. Sometimes things get in the way. I'm not able to join. But most of the time I'm here on Thursday evenings, 7 o'clock Central. Again, ask me anything you want. I do my best to respond to every comment that comes through. If for some reason I don't get to your comment right away, give me some time. If you see me answering comments that are well past yours, then go ahead and repost again. But be patient with me because it takes a little while to get through all these. And the other thing I would say is keep it family friendly. You only get one warning. If you're rude, if you start cussing at people, whatever, we got kids, we got all kinds of people that join in here, you will get booted out. So that's all I ask. So, all right, who we got in here? Rick and Sharon Pace, hello to you two. Hopefully you guys are having a great evening. And Tyler's here, good evening to you. He asks, how's the family? Everybody's doing really well, thank you. And let's see who else we got here. Boris, hello to you, Boris. Good evening. Grab a drink here while I'm waiting for everybody to get situated and get in here and get going. All right, here we go. First question. Oh, well, first of all, outside in Georgia, good evening to you. Glad you could make it. All right, Mr. Stingray says, hey, would you recommend quail or rabbits for a beginner? You know, honestly, they're about the same. I don't know that one's better than the other for a beginner. It depends on what you're looking for. So if you know, let's see, the positives and negatives. You know, rabbits, the positive about quail is they're a little bit faster to get going. So if you buy, like, especially if you buy adult birds, you can set as many eggs as you want or as few eggs as you want. With rabbits, you can't do that. It's, you know, you breed the rabbit, you wait 30 days, and however many babies she has is how many she has. So you can kind of ramp up and ramp down pretty quick with quail. Rabbits, on the other hand, they're pretty simple. They don't make any noise. They don't take up as much room in a sense. So, you know, it's really, I couldn't tell you which one would be easier. I think it probably depends a little bit on what you can find in your area. I would recommend, you know, trying to find good bloodlines if you're going to go with rabbits, good pedigree bloodlines. They don't necessarily need to be the same breed of rabbit, but make sure that they're good bloodlines. So if you get a California rabbit, make sure it's a pedigree California rabbit if you can. And a New Zealand doe, make sure it's a pedigree New Zealand doe. And then you can crossbreed the two of those, but you do want your breeders to be good quality bloodlines. With quail, I would suggest, you know, finding good jumbos, jumbo pharaohs, jumbo meat makers, jumbo browns. Those are my favorites. I think those are probably the best. So, you know, I would say if you can find those in your area, then, you know, whichever one's a little bit easier for you to come by, whichever ones you have the cage set up for, those would be the ones to kind of start with, so to speak. Hopefully that kind of answers your question. I know it's not a clear cut, hey, do this one for this reason, but, you know, really honestly, they're both pretty easy to take care of. It's not a big jump to jump into either one of them, so I don't know that there's really one that's really better for beginners necessarily. The one thing I will say about quail, though, now that I think about it, is, you know, it does take a little bit of experience with incubating. Incubating is not necessarily the easiest thing. There's probably a little bit more investment involved because you got to buy an incubator, all those kinds of things. And your first couple of incubations, hatch rates, they may not be the best. Now, I do have a whole series on incubating you can watch, and it will walk you through, and you'll probably do pretty good with that, but it does take a little bit of practice to get good with incubation, whereas rabbits pretty much do everything themselves. So they're a little bit more hands-off in that sense. So that in that sense, it may be better to start with rabbits for a beginner. Anyway, hopefully I gave you some things to think about. Hopefully I kind of cleared that up for you. Sorry, I can't give you a, oh, start with this one, you know, clear-cut answer, but I think I gave you some information to think about. All right, Lyndon is here, and Lyndon says, hey, Chris, my quail were giving me 7 eggs a day for about a week. 3 days now, I'm back down to 2 eggs a day. Okay, there could be reasons for that, multiple reasons. First things first, always light. Light is the most important thing when it comes to egg laying. They need 14 hours a day of light. Now, I don't know exactly where you live, but where I live, the days are getting shorter. It's, you know, 7 o'clock, it's already dark outside right now, and it doesn't get dark until about 7:15-ish in the morning. So we're already under 12 hours a day of light. and they need 14 hours a day in order to lay consistently. So if you don't have light on them, put an external light to extend the daylight so you get 14 hours a day. Either, a couple hours in the morning or a couple hours in the evening. Either way you want to do it. And it doesn't have to be super bright, just enough to give them, extend the twilight, so to speak. The other reason, we had a cold front that moved through last week, and stress factors like that will cause them to quit laying or to slow down laying for about 2 weeks, a week and a half, something like that. So if you moved them from one cage to another, or like I said, you had a cold front come through and the temperature significantly dropped. We went from like highs or lows in the 60s and 70s, and then we got down to 34 degrees for a couple of nights. And that's a little bit of a shock on them. So they will slow down for a couple of days, maybe a week, and then they'll pick back up as long as you've got all the other factors right. Same thing if you move their cage. Like if you move them from one hutch to another, that's a stress factor on them, and that will cause them to stop laying or slow down laying. For about a week, maybe 2 weeks, something like that. But they'll pick back up as long as you got enough light on them, and you kind of leave them alone. So hopefully that kind of clears that up and answers that question for you. If there's something else going on, let me know. We'll see what else we can do to dive into it. But that's really the big reasons why quail kind of slow down or stop laying. All right, Roger in New Mexico is here. Good evening, Roger, and Dante. I'm doing well today, thank you. Hopefully you are too. And let's see, Riverside Country Club, hello from Northeast Arkansas, so not too far from me. And Sam Easy says, anything I can plant this late in the year? That depends on where you live, Sam. I'm not sure what zone you're in, what part of the country. The things you could plant this time of year, well, in my country, I'm in zone 6B, I think, so 6B. So what I can get away with still would be things like garlic. If you've got some like low tunnels, some kind of protection you can put over them. And I've done low tunnels in my garden plenty of times where just drive a piece of rebar into the ground, take a piece of like 3/4 inch PVC, stick it over one piece, bend it over the other, do about 4 or 5 of those about 2 feet apart. Well, about 3 feet apart probably would be fine. And then drape some clear plastic over it and clamp it onto it so it's sealed up. And it's basically you're making a little greenhouse there. And I've grown, cold hardy vegetables like spinach, lettuce, cabbage, lots of those kinds of things. Broccoli might do pretty well in that, although broccoli doesn't handle real cold temperatures nearly as well as some of those other things do. But again, it depends on where you live, what part of the country you're in, is how cold it's getting, how much time you have left before your freeze comes, and it's kind of a gamble this late in the year unless you live in the deep south, and then you can get away with a lot more. Hopefully that kind of answers that. But think along the lines of garlic, onions, greens like spinach and kale if you like that nasty stuff, and what else? Lettuce, those kinds of things. Those are going to be the most kinds of things you're going to be able to get away with growing. All right, Terry is here. Good evening to you, Terry, all the way from Texas. And Robert in Virginia says, I live in Virginia. What is the latest you should breed rabbits? You mean the latest? Honestly, I breed rabbits all winter long. That's the time I breed. I don't breed them in the heat of summer. I breed them all winter long, all the way up into spring. Rabbits do incredibly well in the cold. They've got big fur coats on, so it's a little bit stressful for them to breed them in the heat of summer. If you get real hot summers like we do, where you're consistently over 90 degrees or up close to 90 degrees, then it's better to breed them in the fall, in the winter. And I breed them when it's freezing out. I breed them all the time. It doesn't matter. As long as you've got a good nest box, and as long as your doe will have her babies in the nest box, and she pulls fur for them, which most of them do, then you're going to be just fine. Again, give them a wind block. Make sure they're not, have wind blowing on them all the time. But yeah, you can breed them all winter long. All right, hopefully that answered that. All right, Riverly Homestead. Are all white quail jumbos? If not, how do you tell they're jumbos? I have all white quail and am curious. Okay, good question. No, not all white quail are jumbos. There is a jumbo line, Texas A&M, but there's also an English white, and they look very, very similar. Just the jumbos are bigger birds. So jumbos are considered anything over, let's see, I think 10 ounces is what considers a jumbo. So you could weigh your birds. If they show up over 10 ounces, then they're jumbo birds. That's what they're considered anyway. I like to really consider anything about 13 ounces to be a jumbo bird. I like my jumbos to be at least 13 ounces, 12 to 13, somewhere right around in there. So hopefully that answers that for you. I think I cleared it up. William McBurney says, hi, Chris from Scotland. Hope Susie is keeping okay now. Thanks for all the help with the quail info. Hey, you're absolutely welcome. Thanks for joining us all the way from Scotland. I actually have some family in Scotland. I don't know them. I know we have some. My sister was into genealogy for a while and connected with, I don't know, long lost cousin that lives in Scotland. We're Irish by heritage, I guess. But family I probably have family in Ireland too. I don't know. But anyway, that's not what you were asking. I hope Susie is doing okay. She's doing very well. Thank you very much. And those of you guys that don't know, my wife's been through one heck of a last about a year and a half, like 6 surgeries. Started off with a hysterectomy because they found precancerous cells. They left her ovaries so they didn't have to send her into menopause, which was good at the time. And then it wasn't but just a couple of months after that, she'd recovered from the hysterectomy, doing just fine, and went in to get checked with a lump she found, and sure enough, it was breast cancer. So she had a double mastectomy. Now, we caught that early enough. She didn't have to go through any chemotherapy, which was, thank God. The prayers, and most of you guys that have been with us for a while, what she's been through, I should say, and lots of prayers for her. We appreciate that because it did work. She didn't have to go through any chemotherapy. She had to do a little bit of radiation, but so far everything looks great. Then it wasn't too long after that, they had to go in and take her ovaries because of something else to do with the cancer. It was like estrogen. I'm not a doctor, and I just know my wife's doing okay, and I don't keep up with it exactly. The type of cancer she has, the estrogen feeds it, something like that. So anyway, they had to take her ovaries out, so now she's had to go through menopause. And then a couple months after that, gallbladder attacks, had to have her gallbladder taken out, and good grief, I think there was one other one in there. But anyway, she's doing very, very well. She's recovered incredibly well from all of that, and just bounced right back. So doing very well now. Thank you very much. All right, what are we talking about here? Jim, did I miss part of your other comment? Jim, you're saying I can vigorously shake the whole incubator and the light won't move. I'm not sure what we're talking about, Jim. I'm sorry, I'm lost. I don't know what light. I'm sorry. You may have to ask that a different way for me to be able to comment on that one. Owen says, hi, how are you doing? I'm doing well, thank you. Hopefully you are too. Let's see where we at. Quack goes the duck. Hello, Chris. Do you keep the heads of the rabbits? I can't keep them because I use a rabbit ringer and the head separates from the body. I don't want to use knives because I don't want my rabbits to suffer. Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't keep the head of the rabbit. Once I dispatch the rabbit, I take its head. Well, actually, I usually pull the skin down and then I cut the head off there and just discard the skin and the head all at once. I don't mess with keeping the head of the rabbit, and there's no use in it for me. All right, Outside in Georgia says, biggest thing that helped me with incubation is forget incubation instructions for providing humidity by hydrometer, and keep a deep container with the right surface area to hold the water you need. Okay, that's not bad advice. Especially the styrofoam incubators, they have those little channels in there, but they don't hold a lot of water, and it can be difficult, especially in the wintertime around here when it's really dry. In the summer, it's not an issue because our humidity is so high, but in the wintertime where it's really dry, we're down below 40% humidity, and that water just evaporates so fast. It's hard to keep enough water in there to keep the humidity up enough during the entire amount of lockdown. So that's good advice, keeping a separate container that's a little bit deeper. Again, humidity is by surface volume, not by depth, but a deeper container will hold water longer because it won't evaporate quite as fast, if that makes sense. So, all right. Tim McCord says, I enjoy your videos. I have learned a lot from them. Have a hatch going on today. Can use a brooder plate for quail. Well, thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that. And yeah, you can use, I think what you're talking about by a brooder plate is like a hot plate. It's like a, what do they call those? Artificial hen or something like that. Anyway, it's basically, it stands up on, like with a gap underneath it, and it's heated so the quail can get underneath it, or the chicks. It's made for chickens too. Chickens can get underneath it and stay warm that way. Yeah, you can absolutely use those for quail. All right. Sam Easy's in KC, Missouri. That's not far at all from us. So, yes, Kansas City is a little bit, I think you may be in zone 5, B or something like that in Kansas City. It's far enough north that, oh, look at that. Robert Hermson with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much for that. And he says, I have both rabbit and quails. Thanks for your help. Well, you're absolutely welcome, Robert. Thank you for the donation there. It's much appreciated. How generous of you. And thank you for watching the videos. I hope you're getting a lot out of them. So, excuse me, back to Sam's question, but that had to do with planting things this late in the year in Kansas City. You're far enough north that you do get a little bit colder weather than we do. You typically get a little bit more snow than we do. It's amazing to me. I mean, you're not that far north, but I mean, it's a 3-hour drive. So what's that? Yeah, about a 3-hour drive. But that's enough to where there is just a drastic difference in the amount of weather that you guys get there. So, again, you might set up some low tunnels. You might be able to get away with some, lettuce, some spinach, and some of those things that grow really fast. You might even be able to get radishes at this time of the year. As long as you can get them to germinate. It may be too cold. It's still warm enough during the days here. I could probably get them to germinate, but radishes are fast. They grow really fast, so you can get them to production before the real cold hits. So that may be something you could try too. All right, where we at here? All right, Britt Cook says, hi, Chris, I have a quail with a huge bulge on its belly. I thought it was an egg, but has gotten a lot bigger. Has a small scab on it too. Should I call it? It seems to be doing fine, just looks bad. Interesting. If it has a scab on it, well, I guess it kind of depends. It could be a couple of different things. A huge bulge on its belly makes me think like tumors, cancer, those kinds of things. But if it's getting along just fine, it's probably okay. And if it is one of those things, it's not contagious, so it's nothing to worry about from the standpoint of giving it all to your other birds or anything like that. You might want to remove it from your breeding flock so you don't pass those genes on to other birds. You don't want that to happen until you at least find out what it is. Now, if it's got a scab on it, it makes me think maybe it could be a botfly. I think it would be strange for it to be on the belly, and it would probably be strange for it to be this time of year, depending on where you're located. But that could be a possibility as well. In which case, what you would want to do is like smear some Vaseline on it or something like that, and then watch it pretty close. That botfly is going to push out of there to get air, and you basically have to grab it carefully. You don't want to burst it inside the bird and pull it out, as more or less what you want to do. So yeah, I don't know that I'd call it right away. I mean, if it's not convenient for you, and I know this sounds cold-hearted, but if it's not convenient for you to separate it from your other birds and keep it separate so you don't have to worry about the breeding, passing on genes and those kinds of things, then go ahead and call it. I wouldn't eat the bird. You just don't know. Unless you open it up and you figure out what it is. I mean, who knows? It could be any number of things. I hope that helps, and good luck with it. Hopefully it recovers. But if it's getting bigger, that's my guess. It's probably, especially if the bird starts getting to a point where it's acting lethargic, it's not wanting to eat, it's not wanting to drink, then yeah, definitely call it. It's suffering at that point. But until then, there's no absolute necessary reason to do it. All right. Darab says, hi from David Robertson, Danville, Virginia. Thanks for your show. Well, thanks for joining. I appreciate that. And let's see, I don't know exactly where Danville is, but I do know where Virginia is. Oh, excuse me. All right, Boris says, Chris, it will be good if you vlogging tour at Kansas City Quail Farms showing us how big hatchery works and staff. Hey, that's a good idea. I don't know. I mean, it's a little ways away from me, but if I ever make it up to Kansas City, I'll definitely contact them, see if I can show up and, maybe do some videos there. I don't know. I've been interacting with them a little bit. I don't know. Maybe we could set something like that up. All right, is everybody still here with me? The chat's just suddenly stopped. Nothing coming through. Are we still live? Are we still going? Give it a minute for that to catch up so everybody can respond, or somebody can respond, hopefully. Dave says, we're lurking, so I guess they are still live. I need to come up with topics, I guess, for this because I don't have anything to discuss when there's no chats coming in. I spend all my time just answering the chats. That's what I do. Let's see, what has been going on this week? I do have eggs getting ready to go into lockdown tomorrow. Oh, still alive in Canada. So Kathy's in Canada. That's a place I've never been, always wanted to visit Canada. Anyway, do have eggs that are going into lockdown tomorrow. I've got some jumbo eggs or some farrow eggs, excuse me, and some meat maker eggs. I don't even remember how many I said. I'll have to count them up before I go into lockdown to see what kind of hatch rates I get out of it. But, the birds that I moved out to the brooder, if you guys watched my video what was it, Monday that came out. Moved those birds out to the brooder box, the 3-week-olds. They're doing great. No problems whatsoever. We got down to 38 degrees one night, and they made it through just fine. No problems. So that's good news. All right, where are we at here? Big Country Vet says, several Texas A&M quail 5 weeks old and still have no feathers on their back, and some started laying eggs, some with no shell. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, that's strange for them to not have any feathers and starting to lay eggs. Now, the no shell thing is a pretty common thing when they first start laying eggs, but the fact that you're having no feathers on them makes me think of maybe a protein problem, maybe really low protein. So I don't know what kind of feed you're feeding your birds, but you might look at the protein levels, make sure it's over 25%, because that could be the issue. It takes a lot of protein to grow feathers. I would think that that would probably impact their egg laying if they didn't have enough protein to lay feathers. That could be why they're laying some eggs with no shells or having a hard time getting going. But I don't know, honestly. I don't think I've ever had a bird get to 5 weeks old with no feathers on their back. I wanted to say they're molting, but at 5 weeks old, that's pretty young to be molting. So I would start with looking at the protein level in the feed, trying to bump their protein up. All right, hopefully that helps with that, Big Country Vet. All right, Britt Cook says, have you ever eaten goat? Oh yeah, I've eaten goat several times. Let's see, I used to be an elder in a church. The church had to close down for financial reasons, but we had a member there that raised goats, and when we'd have potlucks and things like that, occasionally he would bring in goat stew or goat, chili or something like that. And so I had it plenty of times that way. And then, through my work travels to the Dominican Republic, when I was doing that, goat's a really popular dish down there, so I ate it several times down there as well. I like goat; it's good. All right, Gilbert says, is Celadon quails good to raise? Well, Celadon is just a gene that some of the birds carry, so they can be jumbo pharaohs and have a Celadon gene and lay Celadon eggs. They can be pretty much any of the quails. So I mean, Celadon itself doesn't necessarily make it good to raise. It depends on what kind of bird it is that carries that Celadon gene as to whether it's a good one to raise. And really, most of your quail are going to be fine. There for a while, the Celadon eggs were kind of a novelty, so they were a little bit easier to sell. Now they're getting to be pretty common, so I don't know that they're any easier to sell than any of the others. So I don't know that they're any better than any other bird. It's kind of a cool thing. If you want them, get some. But again, any bird can be a Celadon bird, so it's not really that Celadon birds are any better than anything else, if that makes sense. All right. All right, Dave says, I have scrolled too far. Sorry, hang on. Oh, there we go. I have a lump on a quail's leg. I'm just keeping an eye on it. Okay, that sounds like probably, especially if it looks kind of like a pimple or something like that, that's probably an injury that got infected. My guess would be a staph infection of some kind, probably antibiotic ointment. Don't use any that have painkiller in them, just a regular over-the-counter antibiotic ointment with no painkiller. Nothing that ends in cane, like lidocaine or Novocaine, or they wouldn't put Novocaine in there, but you get what I'm saying. Treat it with that, and that should help clear that up, hopefully. If it doesn't have a lesion on it, like a scab or an obvious sore spot or something like that, then it could be just a leg injury that just swelled up. But if it's getting around okay, then it's getting around okay. All right, TH55269 says, how much can incubation temp swing without issue? That depends on a lot of things. I mean, it can swing quite a bit. It just really depends on how long it stays at those extremes in temperature, how frequently it's fluctuating. I've had incubator temperature go up to 103 degrees and then drop back down and drop down to like 97 degrees. It still had pretty decent hatch rates out of that, but they're not staying at those extremes very long. So I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know that I can give you an exact on that. I would say, if your temperature is going up 105 degrees, 106 degrees or more, there's a good chance you're killing all the embryos and they're not going to hatch. And yeah, it's probably not good at all for your incubation. So, all right, Darlene, thank you very much. Says it's all good here in America, USA, Georgia. America's Georgia, USA. There we go. Got it. So thank you. I appreciate that. And still hear from Rick. Thank you guys for letting me know. All right, Jim says, hey, Chris, you really ought to secure your heat lamps better. I use a 2 Buy 2 secured with angle brackets, and a worm drive is used on the light clamp. Included in a link in my pic of my setup. Must have been, oh, automatically deleted. I don't think so. I think I remember seeing that. I thought I even commented on that. Anyway, no, that's a great idea. You know, they're actually pretty secure now. I mean, you can't knock them over now. They're on there really good. I appreciate the advice, and your setup looked really, really good. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I think it's still posted on there. I didn't delete it. I left it on there. I thought it was a good post. But and maybe I'm getting confused. Maybe it was somebody else that posted something similar, but I was pretty sure it was yours. But anyway, yeah, that's a uh-oh. All right. Hopefully we're back. Hopefully we're back. Let me move something around. I lost my internet connection. So I'm trying to go over cellular data. We'll see. All right. I think we're back. Maybe. It says I'm live, but I don't see it. I don't know. I lost my internet connection. Oh no. If you guys are watching me just sit here looking like an idiot, give me a minute here. Oh no. All right, well, I don't know if you guys can hear me talking or not. Somebody leave me a comment. Let me know if you can. I don't get to see the chat very well, but if you guys are here, I can at least answer the questions that came in on the chat, and then we'll go from there and we'll see how it goes. But I don't know if anybody's connected still, or if I'm actually broadcasting or not. All right, we'll give it a minute and see. Let's see, can I pull the chat up on here? Okay, so you guys can still hear me, okay. All right, I think we're good. Anyway. I can see you live, so I take it you're on. Good, okay, hopefully it's coming through. I lost my internet connection. What I usually do, and I'll just explain this to you guys because you're doing good. Okay, good. Thank you, guys. I'll just explain this to you because it's going to be really hard for me to answer all these comments as they come in, so be with me, be patient if you would. Normally what I do is I log into my computer, I pull up the chat on the computer so I can watch it as it goes. Now I'm broadcasting over my phone, but the problem with over my phone is the chats pop up on there, but they only stay up on the screen for a second and then they fade and they disappear. So if I'm answering another comment or another chat, I can't keep track of them, so I'll lose them. So you may have to just, I don't know. We'll work through it the best we can. Let me get back to the questions that are in the chat in here that I can answer, and then we'll go from there and we'll see how much more I can get done. All right, good. Thank you, guys. All right, so let's see. I think we were talking, Jim. I think we were talking about your brooder setup and the heat lamps that you've got set up. Again, I don't think that post got deleted. I think it's still in there. It was a great post. I loved your setup. I thought it looked really, really good. Thank you for your concern with mine. Mine actually is working out pretty well. I mean, they're secure as can be. They're not going to fall off there now. I can take the lids off and shake them upside down, and the lids don't move whatsoever. And now I think this is making sense. What you said earlier about shaking the incubator and the lids the lights not moving, that makes sense. Now I know what you're talking about. But yeah, your setup looked good. Again, I didn't delete your post. I don't think it got deleted. I think it's still in there. All right. B-Bird says, hey, Chris, are you hunting this season? Yes, I am hunting this season. I've been out twice. So far, I haven't seen a thing. Heard a couple of deer off in the woods kind of snorting a little bit. Didn't really alarm, but I'm sure they smelled me is probably what it was. Heard a couple of turkeys and saw a wild hog, but that was it. All right, let me get this. I noticed my Little Giant thermostat failed on the Inkbird I had. I lost it all. I couldn't read the comment fast enough. I don't think there is a way for me to get these comments up here. I'm looking to see. All right, I can't. I'm sorry. I lost that chat. I don't know. You said something about your incubator failed and your Inkbird thermostat. I didn't catch the rest of that. I'm sorry. Let me get through these real quick, and then I'll see if I can focus on the ones coming in on the screen here in front of me. All right. What is the highest hatch rate you have ever had? I had 120. I have 120 eggs incubating. This is from Robert Hermson. Let's see. The highest hatch rate I've ever had is probably somewhere around 95%. I usually end up going around 85%, and somewhere right around in there. But I think 95 is probably about the best I've ever had. All right, and good luck with your hatch, by the way. Hopefully it goes well. Abigail says, have you ever had a rabbit miscarry? My rabbit has miscarried 3 out of 7 times, and I was thinking of selling her. I think that's probably good advice, Abigail. No, I have not had a rabbit miscarry that I think, well, I have had that happen. It was an older rabbit, and it was about the time that she was just about done with her breeding. She was pretty old. So I did have her miscarry, but that was about the time I finally decided, watching Trump rally, and they say angel to be revealed tonight. I don't know what that means, angel to be revealed. But anyway, so she did, yeah, I did have her miscarry, but again, that was about the time where she was old, she was about done anyway, and that was just kind of the thing that made me decide, yeah, she's done. And I ended up giving her away, I think, to somebody as a pet. They wanted a pet rabbit. So yeah, you sell her. Make sure that somebody, if you're going to sell her, don't sell her to somebody as a breeding rabbit. Make sure they know the problems she's had. You don't want to pass your problem on to somebody else and take advantage of them. Yeah, you could call the rabbit, you could sell it, you could find somebody that wants a pet, give it away, however you want to handle it like that, but I would get a new rabbit for sure. All right, Big Country Vet says, started with Purina 30%, switched to another brand at 28%. Okay, your protein sounds plenty high enough. Maybe it's just poor genetics in the birds. I don't know if you've had that problem before. That would be my second guess. I mean, at 5 weeks old, have you checked them for mites? You should be able to see mites if they've got mites. That would be another thing that would make them maybe lose some feathers, would be if they had mites. That's the only other thing I can think of right offhand. If you figure it out, let me know, because that's a new one on me. All right. All right, where are we at here? Darlene says, I have a crossbreed between Brahma and Sussex. Do you think that would be a good meat chicken and egg layer? Oh, good question, Darlene. I'm not a chicken expert, unfortunately. I don't know. I mean, I do know a little bit about chickens, and usually the meat chickens are usually, well, you want a meat chicken and an egg layer. Okay, hang on. Tried to use the Inkbird with set point at 99. It was swinging 103 to 97, about 10-15 minutes time frame. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit of the trick with the Inkbird. It's not really, you can go in and change where it only fluctuates like 1 degree or something like that, I think. So you can lower the amount of, before it kicks on and kicks off. I think the default is like 3 degrees. So if you set it at 99, then it's going to get up to like 102 before it kicks the heat off. And it's going to get down to like 90, what's that, 99 minus 3, 96 before it kicks the heat on. I think you can set it to 1, but again, it's not really meant for incubating. Depending on your incubator, if you've got a little giant, just contact the company, Miller Manufacturing. You might try with the others. I don't know. I haven't had experience with them. But Miller Manufacturing stands behind their product pretty well. Great customer service. When I had a problem with mine, I contacted them. They sent me a new thermostat, just like that. No questions asked. So that would be the route I would go with that. I'm sorry you're having those problems. The Inkbird thing works great for a brooder box, not so great for an incubator. All right, where are we at here? Back to the chickens. Okay. I don't know that I can answer that one for you, Darlene. I'm not a chicken expert. If I was going to say, good meat chickens, those are usually going to be Cornish cross or what? What is the other one? The Cornish cross is probably the best meat chicken, actually. There's another one. I can't remember the name of it right offhand. I don't know that much about Brahman or Sussex, however you pronounce it. I'm sorry, I can't answer that one for you, Darlene. I'm a quail guy and a rabbit guy. I'm not the chicken guy right now. Michael says, I made it today. No quails or rabbits yet. Waiting till after hip surgery and recovery. Learning a lot from your podcast. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate that. And, man, good luck with your hip surgery. We're going to say some prayers for your quick recovery. Hang on. Darlene, not a great cross for meat and eggs. You probably stick with just keeping it as layer birds. They should be, I lost the rest of that. Hopefully you guys can still see it. I don't have any internet access, so Don't know what you said, the rest of it, but thanks for the response. I appreciate that. All right. And again, Michael, we're going to be praying for your Red Rangers. That's the other one. Thank you. Yeah, Red Rangers is the other meat chicken I was thinking of. Good evening to you, Mark. Good to see you. All right, back to this real quick. Let me get through these. Michael, again, praying for your quick recovery from your surgery. Good luck with your hip surgery. Probably a good idea to wait till you recover from that to take on anything, but hopefully it's a quick recovery. All right, TH55269, thinking about replacing the knob type LG thermostat with the SC1000 or Inkbird, but has 1 degree differential. I would stick with the Little Giant thermostat. Again, if you're having problems with it, I would contact Miller Manufacturing and get that changed out. All right, Darlene says, thanks, I'm learning a lot from my rabbits. Well, you're absolutely welcome, Darlene. Thank you for watching the videos. I'm glad you're finding them helpful. I wish I could answer your chicken questions, but looks like we got somebody that could. Britt says, yep, the Red Ranger is good too. They do grow out a little slower if you're super worried about your feed conversion, though. Good point. Yeah, the Red Rangers, I have heard that. They do grow out a little slower, but they're real comparable to a Cornish cross from everything I've looked at anyway. I kind of toyed with the idea of doing some meat chickens at one point. All right, the Moore Homestead says, oh, hang on, we got, thanks for all your help with the other night. Have a second batch due tomorrow, and the next day about 2 more dozens, and the kids, I don't know, something about incubating, some tips. This is driving me crazy, guys. I'm so sorry. I can't keep up with these chats, but they just stay up there for a second, and then they're gone. And I can't figure out how to get them back on my phone. It doesn't show me all of them for some reason. So, I don't know, well, I'm glad I helped you out, whatever it was I helped you out with. I don't remember exactly, but I'm glad you found it helpful. Good luck with your next hatch. If there was something specific you needed on it, ask me again. I'll do my best to answer it. Give me 1 second. Let me get through these other couple of comments I can see. Alan says, love your videos. Thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate that. The Moore Homestead says, we just purchased some white bob white quail. Do you know how to tell the sex? They are supposed to be 4 to 5 weeks old when we got them. We have them for about 3 weeks now. They aren't laying. Bob white take a little bit longer to get to laying size. I want to say that they're going to take closer to, let's see, Bob white are probably like 16 weeks, something like that, 16 to 20 weeks before they start laying. At that point, you should be able to tell the roosters. I don't know about white ones. If they're all white, you're going to have to wait till they get to breeding size. Then you can vent sex them like you do with a Coturnix quail, but they've got to be breeding. They've got to be laying eggs and crowing in order to be able to vent sex them. So you're going to have to wait for that, unfortunately. All right. Leox says, I have a big question. Are you gay, Chris? No, I'm not. Weird question. That's not the first time I've been asked that, actually. I've been asked that a lot. No, I'm not. Happily married. My wife is at work right now, but I'm happily married, not gay. Hopefully that doesn't disappoint you. All right. Dave says, thank you. You're absolutely welcome, Dave. All right. Now I'm ready for the rest of the comments that come through. Let's see, that phone thing is terrible. Yep. Yeah, and here's the other problem. When lots of comments come through, they just scroll past. I can't read it. The phone is terrible. Yeah, I know. Verna says, hit the thumbs up, people. Thank you so much, Verna. I appreciate that. I'm so sorry, guys. This is frustrating for me not to be able to see the chats as they come through. Let me try seeing if maybe... I've got an idea. Hang on just 1 second. I'm going to be out of the room for a minute. You're going to just look at my messy little spare room here in the background. I will be right back. I think I may have a solution. Oh. Darn it. No, I don't have a solution. I was going to go get my iPad, bring it in here and pull it up, but it's dependent on internet as well. So, all right, thank you, Chris. Appreciate the feedback. Love your videos and have learned a lot. This is from the Moore Homestead. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're finding the videos helpful. I do have a question for you guys that, I'm coming up on a point where I've been trying to drive some interest in the solar light. I have a lot of people that really want it, but I can't bring it to market right now. I just don't have the funds to get to buy the bulk order I would need to buy to be able to bring it to market and be able to sell, to offer it to everybody else. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Should I can't afford to get a loan for it. I don't think that's a great idea anyway. I just can't afford to make the payments on that right now. Too many medical bills to pay off and all those kinds of things. Should I run another Kickstarter with that? Do you think it's worth doing that? If you think it is, leave me a comment below. Let me know. How much? Okay, we've got a question. Brad says, how much do quail cost in your area? I live in Australia, and they cost $8 to $10, which is around $5.46 to $6.83 in American dollars. It's pretty close to that around here. Usually, adult quails go for $5 a bird. Usually, what they usually you see them for $1 a bird up to a week old, and then it's about $1 for every week they are. All right, Terry Brown says, enjoy your videos. I'm new at quail, soaking up your knowledge. Thanks. Well, thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate that. So anyway, back to quail cost. About $1 or a FundMe, a GoFundMe. Well, here's the thing about that, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. A GoFundMe versus a Kickstarter, why I would choose Kickstarter instead of GoFundMe. And I'll tell you about that here in a second. So anyway, the cost of quail. They go for about $1 for however old they are in weeks. So $1 for 1 week old, $2 for 2 week old, $3 for 3 week old, $4 for 4 week old, and then $5 for 5 week old or anything older than that. It's about $5 is about what they go for. So not really much more, or not much less, I should say, than what you're paying for it there. All right, so talking about the difference between GoFundMe versus Kickstarter. I'm not looking for donations. What I'm looking for is to help fund getting the product out to you. So the difference between GoFundMe and Kickstarter. GoFundMe is more like a donation, like you give money out of your pocket and to help pay for something. I don't even know if they allow you to do that for like product launches and stuff. Maybe they do, I don't know. But that's not what I'm looking for. I don't want you to give me money and put up all this risk with, well, maybe he'll get enough money, maybe he won't get enough money, you know, all those kinds of things, and not being able to track it. With Kickstarter, what you're doing is you're pledging to pay whatever amount of money that you've decided, you know, to pledge. And in return for that, if I make the funding goal, then you're charged for that. If I don't make the funding goal, you're not charged for that. So you're not out anything if the funding goal is not made. And if the funding goal is made, then you get the reward, which is going to be the product or whatever that's set up to, hang on, can you crossbreed quail, make like a half quail, half chicken? No, you can't do that. Quail and chicken are different species. They won't crossbreed. It's not possible, no. So anyway, with Kickstarter, again, you put in, let's say you pledge $40. And at that level, $40, I'm promising to give you one of the lights when they come out. If I hit my funding goal, then you're charged the money, and then I make the bulk order, and when I get it in, I send you one of the lights. That's you're basically pre-buying it is what you're doing. Now, if I don't make the funding goal, though, you never get charged anything, so you're not out any money. There's no risk for you as the buyer that's pledging to back me, if that makes sense. So that's why I've chosen to go with a Kickstarter. I'm not looking for donations. I'm just looking to pre-sell the product, so I can get the money to make the bulk order so I can get it out to everybody. So, I mean, the lights have worked great for me. I think they're fantastic, but I did run Kickstarter once before. Didn't get very good response on it, and I'm not sure if it's worth doing again. We'll see. But Darlene says, I'm looking to go solar, so I say Kickstarter. Yeah, well, I'm looking at trying to run another one. Where can we sign up, though? Gilbert says, well, I do have a link. It's in, if you look up, if you look back at my channel, let's see, I talked about it not too long ago, but I also ran a, what I call it, the best light for your quail video. And in the bottom of that, there was a link you can go to. It's slightlyrednecked.com/solar light, I think is what it is. I can't remember the actual address for that, but I'll try to put that link down below. I should be putting it in all my videos. But you can go there, you can sign up. Basically, you're signing up for my email list, which I really don't email much out at all. Just kind of updates about the solar light or whatever every great once in a while. I will say, if you guys have signed up for the email list, make sure you've marked me as not spam. Check your spam folders. If I've sent you something, you do have to confirm. You should get an email. As soon as you sign up, you have to confirm your email address and all that kind of stuff, and make sure that I don't get marked as spam, because I know I've sent out some emails and it looks like a big portion of them didn't even get opened, didn't even get read, and I think it's probably because I ended up in spam folders in most of you, which is okay. If you want me to go to your spam folder, that's fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings, but I'm just saying, if you want to really be updated on things, you need to make sure I'm not marked as spam. So that's the I would go online and pull the link and post it, but I can't do it because I don't have internet access right now. I lost my internet. So anyway, yeah, we're looking at running another Kickstarter on it probably pretty soon. What's the potential cost? They're looking at going about $40 American for the light itself. The Kickstarter, I usually, well, when I launched it last time, I had some like early birds where you could get in at a little bit of a cheaper rate and get the light. But about $40 roughly is what it's going to go for, all said and done in the States. All right, Mark says, if you do it again, I'm in need to pitch the light to others to get a strong following. I'll check my spam. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And that's what I would need from you guys. Even if you're not interested in the light, that's fine. I'm not, trying to just, get rich off of everybody or anything like that. I really do think it's something that's helpful and it would be helpful for everybody. There's just nothing out there like it. So if it's something that doesn't work for you, make sure you share it in your Facebook groups and those kinds of things so that we can get it funded, so that we can get it out to everybody. So, all right. What else was I going to say about that? Boy, this is hard to keep up with the chats that come in and stay on track and stay focused. A little bit ADD tonight, probably. I forgot where I was going with that. I had a comment. I had something I was going to say, and I lost it. Anyway, thank you very much, darling. I appreciate that. It says you'll pass it on as well. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll try to remember those of you guys that are asking for the, where do you go to sign up and those kinds of things. You can sign up again for the email list, and then I'll email out whenever it kicks off. It'll probably be, I don't know, next couple of weeks maybe before I, get the Kickstarter kicked off again. And we're going to need close to 1,000 people to sign up and pledge for it. In order to get the funds. I have to order 1,000 units. I can't order just 10 or 15 or 20. I have to order 1,000. So, Del Rey Main says, new to Quail, love your site. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And let's see. I don't even know if I've got a link. I may have a link directly to it on my main website. If you guys have been to my website, I don't really do much on there. I started it off when I started shortly after I started the channel. I started the website thinking I was going to, blog on there and write posts, and I figured out I'm not really that happy about writing. I'd rather get on the video and talk. So it was a chore to keep up with. So I just haven't done anything. So there's like when you go to the site, there's like some blog posts, but they're old. I haven't done anything with them for a long time. And I think there is a link on there to the solar light. I think. If not, I'll have to go and do that. All right, Darlene says, do you need some of my keto coffee before you go on? LOL. Helps with focus, LOL. No, I actually don't drink coffee. Believe it or not, I don't drink coffee. Isn't that weird? Alan says, are there small chicken breeds? There are. Bantams are really small chickens. I'm sure there's probably a couple of others, but yeah, there are some small chickens. Bantams are the ones I think of. I think that's probably the most popular, most famous ones. But yeah, I have a few weird things about me. I'm not like a picky eater. I don't think I'm that much unusual. But one of the unusual things is I don't even drink coffee. I make coffee every day. I don't even drink it. It's for my wife. She drinks coffee. She likes it. And everybody else I know drinks coffee, but not me. Which is bad because if we ever go on a camping trips, group camping trips, if I'm in charge of the food, I never think to bring coffee. And everybody was getting up in the morning like, where's the coffee? I'm like, I didn't bring coffee. I don't even, because I don't drink it. It's not my deal. Funny, but I don't know. All right. What else we got, guys? I'm running out of topics here to talk about. Can't ramble on. We got about 10 minutes left in the hour. We may end up having to just cut it a little bit short tonight because, well, it's hard to keep up here with no internet access. Chris, share internet to the computer from the phone. I might be able to do that, but where's that? I thought it was only that close. I didn't catch the next comment. I'm sorry. I might be able to share my internet to my phone and connect to it, but I would have to go out. Actually, you know what? That's a good thing. Maybe I still have that on. No, I don't. So anyway, there are lots of small chicken breeds such as Silkies, good one, Japanese, Bantams, and English game chickens. Good point. There are. Let's disconnect from that. I don't know that maybe I can. Maybe I do need to drink coffee. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys lost me. I close this out for a minute to see if I could get the iPhone connected. It says I'm connected. Are we, let me try something else here. This was what I was afraid of, is that if I think we might be back in business. All right, where are we at here? All right, hopefully this does not cause problems. I'm back in. Look at that. I got my chat back up. Whoever commented that to share the That was a great idea. Boris, thank you for that. That was a great, I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. My only concern is we're going over the cellular network and we're running the stream itself off of that and my computer off of that. So we may end up with some choppiness in the video. Hopefully it's not too bad. Seems to be working okay right now, but we're back in the chat. Let's see. I thought I was the only one that does not drink coffee. Roger says that. No, you're not the only one. Trust me. Okay, do quail lay eggs in the winter? That was Mr. Popular. I missed that chat earlier, or that comment earlier. What was I saying? Quails lay eggs in the winter. Yes, okay, back to it. Sorry, got distracted again. Yes, quail will lay eggs in the winter as long as they have enough light. 14 hours a day is kind of the minimum that keeps them laying regularly. So if you add some kind of external light to get them up to 14 hours a day of light during the short days of winter, they'll keep laying all winter long. All right, Del Rey says, I hatched out 30 quails last week. How long should I keep them warm, and when can they go outside? Depends a little bit on your weather. So what I typically do is I keep them about 100 degrees for the first week, and then I lower it to about 90. Usually I go about 95 for a couple of days, and then I go 90 for a couple of days. So that's over the course of the next week. And then I go down to 85 for a couple of days, and then 80 for a couple of days after that. That's the course of the week 3. And usually by the end of week 3, they're fully feathered out, and you can just remove the heat lamps from them altogether. Now, if it's fairly nice outside where you're not expecting any lows below, you know, the 50s, they're probably... All right, are we back in? I'm not sure if I'm back. I think I am. Boy, technical problems tonight, guys. Sorry about that. Hopefully we're back and live. I don't know. Where are we at here? I don't know if somebody respond and let me know if we're back and live. One caramel frappuccino every 3 months, huh? Okay, we're back. Good. I'm so sorry about the technical problems we're having tonight, guys. I didn't prepare for this. I'm not, I just do the best I can. Appreciate you guys staying with me. Enjoyed even through the difficulty. Well, thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate that. So where we're talking about when you can put your quail outside for Del Rey. So, yeah, okay. So, again, if it's going to be down below, you know, like 40s and the 30s or whatever, wait till at least 3 weeks old and they're fully feathered out, and you know, try to give them maybe a day or two. Like if you have an unheated garage or something that maybe gets a little bit cooler, give them a day or two in there to kind of acclimate. You know, I put my birds out at 3 weeks old. They were off heat from the end of, basically the end of 2 weeks. They were off the heat, and then but the garage never gets that cold. It never got below 70 degrees in the garage. And then I put them outside at 3 weeks old, and they did just fine. Even when it got down to, you know, we had a frost, 34 degrees or something like that. All right. Yeah, Mark. Yeah, you know how streaming goes, huh? All right. Well, I'm trying to get through the chats here, see what I've answered, what I haven't answered. Mark Meyer says Boris needs a super chat. Hey, Mr. Masia says, hi, Chris from Pakistan. Well, hey, thanks for joining us all the way from Pakistan. That's got to be like in the middle of the night over there. Thanks for staying up late with us. Says, I like your videos and learn very much from them. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Lance says, got my birds. I've stopped laying already. If I add artificial light now, how long till they start laying again? Good question. Probably about 2 weeks. You give them a couple of weeks of that, and then they'll probably be a little sporadic when they first start laying. Like you might get, you know, 5 or 6 eggs one day, and then 2 the next, and then 1, and then 5, and then 3, and then 5, and then, you know, it'll be a little sporadic for about another week, and then they'll get back on track. So it doesn't take them very long. All right. Gilbert says, great. I just joined up. I'm in a Facebook group. I'm sure gonna share it. Hopefully we get to 1,000. Thank you so much, Gilbert. I appreciate that. And that's kind of what I need, is just help sharing it around, you know, whatever groups you're in or whatever, and, you know, see if we can't get the funding up there. So, all right, guys, I don't even know if I'm still live. There's another comment coming in. Do you have any other pets besides quail or rabbits? Yeah, I have my dog. Where is he? Max. Max, come here. He's being lazy, but if I say squirrel, Max, squirrel. Yeah, he thinks there's a squirrel, so he's coming. Yeah, he can come in and say, it's early morning there in Pakistan. Well, again, thanks for staying up. Mark says, start a GoFundMe to pay your internet bill. Well, I paid my internet bill. It's paid. I've been putting mine out at 2 weeks. Been chilly here, no problems. Good to know. Max, come. Come on, come in here and say hi. Now he's looking for the squirrel now. All right. Yeah, I haven't started GoFundMe. I mean, we have a lot of medical bills and those kinds of things, but we're making our bills. We're making our payments, so it's not that big a deal on that. I just can't take on another loan to get the the bulk order for the lights to be paid off. All right, I've got goats, quail, chicken, ducks, dog, and guineas. Nice. How long do eggs set after shipping to start incubation? Usually I give them overnight, up to 24 hours to let them settle before I start incubating them. But usually it's like night, and then I go ahead and incubate them the next day. So I don't think there's a set rule on that, but do give them some time to settle now. So, all right, where are we at on time here? I think I'm going to wrap this up just a few minutes early tonight, guys. It's been a struggle trying to keep up. Did the best I could. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for hanging in there with me and sticking around, giving me questions and things to keep the, sorry, looking at the internet thing. I know that looks weird. Give me questions, give me comments to keep me, sorry for all the difficulty we had. Hopefully next week will be better. Hopefully you guys aren't having to look at the screen I see on the actual, well, no, you're not because we're live here. My screen is frozen. I've got a terrible face on there, but all right, how long can we store quail eggs? I'll get that one answered, and then I got to get out of here. You can usually store them up for about 7 days, about a week usually, and they should do just fine. Darlene says you went through what she's going through. Well, prayers for you too, Darlene. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yep, you're right. Dave Ramsey would scold me for a business loan probably. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's get out of here. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate you joining me. Appreciate you joining me every week. Hopefully we'll see you back here next week. No problems. We'll get a smooth broadcast going. In the meantime, God bless each and every one of you, and have a great evening. Goodbye.